When the light feels gone, finding hope after retirement. An opening note of reflection before we begin today. I invite you to pause for a moment. Find a quiet space within yourself and ask gently, no judgment, just curiosity. What is the reason I get up in the morning? If that question feels heavy, or if the answer doesn't come easily, please know this: you are not alone. Many of us have been there. Not because we are weak, but because life's rhythm changes so fast after retirement, and we haven't yet found our new direction. Today, we won't rush to fix everything. Instead, we will sit together, listen deeply, and slowly open a small door called hope. Because sometimes, the first step out of despair is simply to acknowledge it. The awakening moment. Hello, I'm Ordinary People, your online neighbor and fellow retiree. Today, I want to speak from the heart about something many of us feel but rarely admit: despair. Retirement is often painted as a golden era, waking without alarms, leisurely walks, endless enjoyment. But for many, it can feel like losing an anchor. No structure, no clear role, no one depending on us anymore. And quietly, the thought creeps in: what's the point of waking up today? If you are feeling this way, I want to start by saying, you are not alone. More importantly, there is a way forward. Hope is not something lost forever. It can be rebuilt. Over the next 10 minutes, we'll explore why this happens, what science tells us, and 5 practical ways to find meaning and joy again. The awakening of curiosity. Let's begin with some understanding from the experts. Dr. Richard Leider, a pioneer in the study of purpose, describes what he calls the power of purpose. He reminds us that meaning in life is not about grand achievements, but about connection to something larger than ourselves. And then there's Dr. Lovra Carstensen, whose groundbreaking research on aging shows that as we grow older, our brains become better at focusing on what truly matters, on emotional satisfaction and meaningful relationships. Yet, despair often arises when we lose sight of this focus. When the daily structure that once gave our lives rhythm disappears, we can feel adrift. Dr. Mo Wang's research highlights the psychological impact of losing routine after retirement. Without the natural agenda of work, our minds may interpret free time as emptiness, triggering feelings of meaninglessness. But here's a hopeful truth: meaning doesn't have to be spectacular. It can be as simple as savoring a warm cup of tea with full awareness, or noticing the gentle sway of a tree outside your window. Dr. Robert Waldinger, who led the Harvard study of adult development for over 75 years, found that the strongest predictor of happiness and longevity is not wealth or fame, but the quality of our relationships and the sense of purpose they bring. So if you feel lost, it's not because you have failed. It's because your life's compass is recalibrating, and that is a natural, even necessary, process. Insight 1. Rebuild small, meaningful routines. One of the first steps to overcoming despair is to rebuild small, meaningful routines. Dr. Mo Wang's work shows that when retirees lose their daily structure, the brain can associate free time with emptiness. But the antidote is gentle routine, not a packed schedule, but a few small anchors. Here's how you can start. Create a light daily schedule with just 2 or 3 simple activities. Maybe it's watering your plants, calling a friend, or writing in a journal each morning. Choose one activity each day that makes you feel alive, listening to your favorite music, meditating, or rereading an old letter that brings warmth. Add a small ritual as a gentle anchor. For example, light a candle at sunset, or give yourself a kind good morning in the mirror. These small acts create a rhythm of presence and meaning. As Dr. Leider says, purpose often arises from the ordinary moments we choose to honor. Remember, meaning is born from gentle consistency, not grand achievements. Insight 2. Courageously reconnect. Even slowly connection is the heart's medicine. Dr. Robert Waldinger's decades of research reveal that social relationships are the most powerful shield against loneliness and depression. But when despair weighs heavy, reaching out can feel exhausting. Start small. What I call micro-connections can make a big difference. Try sending a short message to one person every 2 days. It doesn't have to be long, just "I'm thinking of you today." Join a like community, an online art class, a book club, or a morning walking group. Consider volunteering in a small way. Dr. Becca Livy's research shows that social contribution slows cognitive decline and boosts optimism in older adults. When we feel unneeded, reconnecting reminds us that we matter. It's not about quantity, but quality. Even a brief moment of genuine connection can rekindle a sense of belonging and purpose. Insight 3. Create space for self-care without guilt. Despair often whispers, "You're tired," but you don't deserve to rest. That's the voice of perfectionism, stubbornly clinging even after work ends. Dr. Nancy Schlossberg offers a helpful approach called the 4 S's: situation, self-support, and strategies. First, acknowledge your situation honestly. Retirement is a major life transition. Next, understand yourself, your feelings, your needs. Build support friends, family, professionals, and apply strategies that nurture you. Here's how to practice self-care without guilt. Write in a journal. Today I felt empty, and that's okay. If despair persists, seek counseling. Many retirees find help through Medicare, local universities, or online platforms. Change your inner narrative from "I'm useless" to "I'm learning new ways to be valuable." Remember, self-care is not selfish. It's the foundation for giving and living fully again. Insight 4. Embrace new passions and learning. Retirement is a time of rediscovery. Dr. Ken Deichtwald, a leading gerontologist, reminds us that later life is not decline, but a harvest season. One way to cultivate hope is by embracing new passions or learning. This could be anything: a new language, painting, gardening, or writing memoirs. Learning rewires the brain, increases dopamine, and lifts mood. It also offers a sense of accomplishment and growth, countering despair. Try setting a small goal, perhaps reading 1 book a month or joining a local class. Dr. Laura Karstensen emphasizes that older adults often prioritize emotionally meaningful experiences, so choose activities that resonate deeply with you. Remember, it's never too late to start something new. Passion fuels purpose. Insight 5. Practice mindfulness and gratitude. Mindfulness and gratitude are powerful tools for healing despair. Scientific studies show that mindfulness, being fully present without judgment, reduces anxiety and depression. Gratitude shifts our focus from what's lost to what remains. Start with simple practices. Each morning, take 3 deep breaths and notice your surroundings. Write down 3 things you are grateful for every day, no matter how small. Dr. Becca Livy's research on positive aging highlights how optimistic outlooks improve health and longevity. Mindfulness helps us savor ordinary moments: the warmth of sunlight, the sound of birds. Gratitude turns these moments into sources of hope. Together, they create a gentle path from darkness to light. The final light: let's deepen our understanding. Dr. Mo Wang's extended research explores how the brain adapts in retirement. He found that retirees who cultivate meaningful goals and social ties show better cognitive function and emotional health. Dr. Richard Leider adds that purpose is a dynamic process. It evolves as we do. Dr. Nancy Schlossberg's transition theory explains that navigating retirement involves phases: ending, neutral zone, and new beginning. Despair often comes in the neutral zone, a time of uncertainty and limbo. But this phase is fertile ground for transformation if we lean into support and strategies. Dr. Robert Waldinger's Harvard study also reveals that people who maintain close relationships and purpose report higher life satisfaction decades later. Science confirms what our hearts know. Connection and meaning are essential for thriving in retirement. From knowing to becoming. As we close, remember this: despair is not the end of your story. It's the start of a new conversation with yourself. You have weathered storms, loss, change, uncertainty, and you are still here. That is strength. Dr. Ken Deichtwald says later life is a time to reap the harvest of your experiences. Value is not measured by how many remember your name, but by how many days you live with courage, taking even one small step forward in the fog. I invite you to hold hope gently, like a fragile flame. Nurture it with kindness, connection, and purpose. Your journey continues, and you are not alone. Until the next reflection, before we part today, consider this. We can rebuild hope, ignite a small light in the darkness. But what happens when, after all this, our bodies no longer keep pace with our spirit? When getting out of bed becomes a struggle? When standing for long feels tense? When the world seems to sway, even though the floor is still? In our next episode, we'll explore a challenge that quietly changes how we live and feel safe. The decline of physical balance in retirement. Not to frighten, but to learn together. That even as our steps slow, life can still be steady and full. If this message touched your heart, please share your reflections in the comments. Your story might light the way for someone else. Like, share, and subscribe to walk this journey with us. Tap the bell icon to join us next time. Remember, hope is not an external light, it's a small flame inside that we can kindle anytime. When the world feels silent and heavy, remember, leaves grow in silence. Hope, like life, is often quiet, but always present. Thank you for being here.